Radio 2 presents Lloyd Cole Knew My Father.
Hello, Cleveland. My name is Andrew Collins.
My name is Stuart Maconie.
And my name is David Quantick.
And welcome to Lloyd Cole Knew My Father, a rollicking roller coaster ride through the highways and byways of rock history. From Howlin' Wolf to Hungry Like a Howlin' Wolf.
We'll be assisted in our quest for ultimate power by real-life actress Amelia Bulmore.
But enough about me.
I once shared, and this is absolutely true, an egg mayonnaise baguette with MC Hammer in a Dusseldorf leisure centre. He tried to nick a bit, and I said, "You can't touch this."
This is true also. Paul McCartney once offered me a piece of apple. That's the fruit apple, obviously, not the multi-million-pound Apple Corporation, because that would be mad.
And Freddie Mercury once took me out for dinner. I think we had goulash. That's not a euphemism. We were in Hungary.
All these stories are true, and that's because we are music journalists. And this week we look at something that lies at the very heart of pop music. Something without which there would be no pop music and no pop music journalists. Let's remind you.
Songs for swinging lovers.
Songs in the key of life.
Song sung blue.
Song to the siren.
The push bike song.
The logical song.
Your song.
The song remains the same.
What is it that drives the music business?
Drugs.
That's right, drugs. No, not drugs. Songs.
Songs.
Yes, Val Doonican once said, "Some of my best friends are songs." But that was before Sending the Clowns borrowed his lawnmower and ruined it. Val was right, as he so often was. Songs are the raw pig iron, the flax, the loam, if you will, of musical greatness.
Yes, after all, where would Atomic Kitten, Will Young and Gareth Gates be without their unique and original songwriting talents?
Where did the song begin as we know it? Well, many musicologists feel with Schubert. Schubert was, in many ways, rather like Gary Glitter. He was the leader of the gang. He was leader. It's a classical music joke. There aren't many.
I wonder why.
OK, I know a lounge jazz joke.
Go on, then.
A bloke was playing piano in a bar, getting a few requests and some small tips. Towards the end of the night, a man walked up to him and asked him to play a jazz chord. So he played a major seventh. "No, no," said the man, somewhat the worse for wear, "a jazz chord." The pianist did some improvisation, using as many jazz chords as he could think of. But the man didn't like that either. "No, no, no," he said, "a jazz chord. You know, a jazz chord to say I love you."
OK, I know a mid-70s roots rock reggae joke. Bob Marley and the Wailers are practising a new set in the small town of Aspel between Wigan and Bolton. Bunny Wailer says, "I'm starving, Bob." He says, "I'll pop down to Asda and get us something to eat." So he goes down, and on the pastry counter, he sees some donuts. He says, "Oh, they look lovely. I'll take some of those." And the guy says, "All right, Bob, what sort do you want? Do you want these or these?" He says, "I'll take some of those there." So he gets back, and Peter Tosh says, "Whoa, boss, did you get anything to eat? I'm starving." He says, "Yeah, I got some donuts." He said, "Oh, great, what sort did you get?" And Bob says, "We jamming." And I hope you like jamming too.
Well, enough of that game of musical genre joke tennis. Let's reluctantly go back to Schubert. Schubert, as we all know, wrote songs about unrequited love, elves, dying of consumption, walking in the woods in a long coat, and trout. Still, I think you'll agree, the stock subjects of all pop music today.
Then in the Victorian era, songs developed in a theatrical capacity. The music hall song gained in popularity, generally called things like "Spooning Down the Old Kent Road," "My Old Man's a Cut Purse," and "Crikey, Mr. Inspector, I should have changed at Didcot Parkway."
All of these songs are now available on the new BBC Dirty video, Tipping the Velvet Underground.
But eventually music hall died out, partly because of the changing social composition and the advent of the gramophone, and partly because it was rubbish.
In America, as we've mentioned on a previous programme, songs were created that reflected the grim, harrowing experiences of the poor rural black community. These songs became known as the blues.
Yes, and like Totopoly, blues music follows very strict rules. Rules we'd like to outline for you now.
You're only allowed to have and sing the blues if you are blind, or named after some fruit, or if you have asked for water and your baby has, curiously, given you gasoline, or if you shot a man in Memphis just to watch him die.
You're not allowed to have or sing the blues if your name is Jeremy, if you read the New Statesman, or if you have a trust fund.
Good places to have the blues include
the porch,
the southbound train,
the lonesome highway,
the jailhouse,
Bad places to have the blues include
Cheese and wine parties.
The Algarve.
Guildford.
Alton Towers.
the blues had a baby and they called it rock and roll, so they say. But that's really wrong. The blues was stolen from the poor black people who were its rightful owners and done gone turned into rock and roll by Elvis Presley. You must remember it was all over the news.
Hello, I'm Nick Ross, sincere, reliable, slightly over-earnest.
And I'm Fiona Bruce, sophisticated yet perky and kind of sexy in an unthreatening way.
Tonight, the blues have been stolen.
We have this reconstruction.
My name is Unwell Cantaloupe Jackson. And I'm a poor, God-fearing sharecropper, whatever that is, in rural Tennessee. The 12th of July began for me like any other blues day. I woke up that morning. My woman had done gone left me on that southbound train. I said, I woke up that morning. My woman had done gone left me on that southbound train. I had a hellhound on my trail, and if it wasn't for bad luck, I wouldn't have had no luck at all. I had the blues. I had them right there on the porch with me, but then the phone rang, and I went to answer it because I figured it could be my woman, saying as how she missed my good loving and she'd sure enough done me wrong. I said it could have been my woman, saying how she missed my good loving and had sure enough done me wrong, but it wasn't. It was Stay Bright Windows, telling me they were in my area offering free, no obligation estimates. I said it was Stay Bright Windows, telling me they were in my area offering no obligation free estimates. And when I came back, the blues were gone.
CCTV footage has revealed a man with a large quiff and a strangely brooding sexuality acting suspiciously over by the melon patch that morning.
Did you see this man?
Do give us a ring, and don't have nightmares.
And so the pop song was born. During the 1950s, most pop songs concerned teenage hijinks and were generally about drive-ins, soda fountains, going to the malt shop.
To buy a big bag of malt, presumably.
Yes, necking, making out and getting killed in dragon racing competitions.
Drag racing competitions.
Oh yeah, of course. Because the dragons would always win.
Yes. Pop songs were also all about American place names, because American place names embody the romance of rock and roll in a way no British place name can. Take, for instance, 24 Hours from Tulsa. Now, I've been to Tulsa. It isn't very exciting at all. I saw the Monkees in Tulsa.
Oh, big deal. I've seen the Lions at Longley.
Tulsa is a part of Oklahoma that is forever Tipton. But to our British ears, it sounds romantic, largely to do with Bacharach and David's classic song As Sung by Gene Pitney. The truth is, nowhere in Britain is 24 hours from anywhere else.
No, to be 24 hours from Tipton, you'd have to be in Vladivostok.
In fact, the very word America is infused with widescreen rock and roll romance. Take the soft rock trio, America, formed by three men in London. Yet their most famous hit was 1971's A Horse with No Name.
You see, I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out of the rain.
So this bloke in the song, he's crossing the desert on a horse with no name. He's been riding this horse for 9 days, according to the lyrics, surrounded by nothing but plants and rocks and sand and hills. Well, why didn't he name the horse? He didn't have anything else to do, did he? I would have named it by about day 3, I think.
How relevant. And what about this beautiful song from Simon and Garfunkel, the classic America?
Kathy, I said as we boarded a Greyhound in Pittsburgh.
Kathy, I said, as we boarded the Greyhound in Pittsburgh, we'll never get across America on the back of this skinny little racing dog.
Horsey! Well, that's what I would have named it.
Good. Well, I think it's time to hear an actual song. And who better to sing it for us than a proper singer, Mr. Roddy Frame.
Good evening. Yeah, nice to see you all.
You've got two choices here. We can sit behind you looking like a really glum set of Temptation-style backing singers, or we can dance making over-literal representations of the lyrics like Pan's people used to do. I think we'll sit down, shall we? Yeah.
This is a song called Small World. Laser guns are set to stun, sabers into lace, and try to numb the one one who shuns the world for inner space, and nothing comes between the sadness and the scream, exploding rooms of pain dematerialize again in go-go bars filled with showbiz stars on Fridays set aflame with crashing cars, sunburst guitars, amphetamines and fame, and crawling from the smash, aliens all slain. A beam of light, then a flash lifts you up to where you know that you can choose to never have to feel that way again. Rushing through the stars, captivated by the worlds beyond. So far unknown, floating in a car past the gates of mustdestroy.com. You aren't alone, it's a small world and you've grown. I don't wanna wait, I want the world to turn and the clocks to whirl and race till my girl is returned, rushed into my arms at the speed of light, delivered safe from harm, knowing that you'll never have to feel that the night is hers alone. Rushing through the stars, captivated by the worlds beyond. So far unknown, floating in a car past the gates of mustdestroy.com. You aren't alone, it's a small world and you've grown.
Roddy Frame. Roddy Frame, a fine singer and a man who has the nous to sing in his own native accent. However, this does not apply generally in rock music. This is because American is apparently the true voice of rock and roll.
Take Elton John.
Take me to the bar and lead me to the train. Take me to the bar.
He's from Pinner. That's Pennsylvania, obviously.
Take Sting, the well-known Jaguar XL driving environmental activist. He spent the first half of his career trying to sound like Haile Selassie after inhaling a sack of helium. And then the second half trying to sound like Lord Peter Wimsey.
Okay, while we're on the subject of Sting, formerly Gordon Sumner, where did this nickname come from? Well, according to Sting, it came from the fact that when he was a teenager, he used to wear a yellow and black striped jumper.
Oh, yeah, so my friends just started to call me Sting and it kind of stuck.
No, it didn't. No, it didn't. You made it up because you quite fancied being called Sting, didn't you? Because rule one of all schoolboy nicknames is no one ever gives you a cool name you'd actually want to be known by. If we accept this flimsy story of Sting's vis-a-vis this improbable nitware, then rest assured his mates would have called him Bumble. Or Buzzy Wuzzy. Or more likely, that wazzock in the yellow and black jumper.
You've got a lot of unresolved anger and jealousy towards Sting, haven't you?
A bit, yeah.
You know, I always wish I'd written that review of Sting's band The Police that ended, "Oh Sting, where is thy death?"
Anyway, returning mercifully to the point of what we were saying, people should sing like from where they come from. Sting is from Newcastle, so by rights, he should be singing, "Giant steps are what you take, walking down the tune. Away the lads, man pet, I hate Sunderland, Thelma."
Robert Palmer. Robert Palmer, suave, besuited crooner of Addicted to Love. He's from Batley, a mining town near Leeds. But you wouldn't guess that from his singing, though, would you? Why, oh, why doesn't Robert sing in his native dialect? Lights are on, but that's not home. Thy man, it's not thy own. Thy heart sweats, thy body shakes. Another kiss, that's all it takes. They'd laugh and think that that's immune to the stuff, wouldn't they? Hey, no. Hey, I'll tell you what, it's closer to the truth, but say, they can't get enough, can they? That's going for half, but face it, that's Addicted to Love, eh, girl?
I enjoyed that. And do US bands ever repay the compliment? Do you see their rock stars emulating our vernacular? Did Bon Jovi ever consider calling themselves By Jovi?
Bob Dylan's M61 revisited.
In Bedford with Madonna?
Perhaps, though, it was this desperate desire to come on all tough and stateside that led Thin Lizzy to make one of the greatest lyrical faux pas of all time. Yes, we're talking about Jailbreak.
Tonight there's gonna be a jailbreak somewhere in this town.
Tonight there's gonna be a jailbreak somewhere in this town. My guess is the jail.
Jailbreaking, or escaping from chokey, is an unlikely subject for a pop song. In fact, according to my Guinness Book of Hit Singles, Jailbreak and Elvis Presley's Jailhouse Rock are about it. Sadly, Brotherhood of Man's single, Digging a 15-foot tunnel with a plastic spoon, and Hiding the Earth in My Flared Trousers, failed to chart.
But that's because most hit songs are about a tiny handful of prescribed subjects.
Here's a pie chart that I've prepared in my pie chart oven, showing the percentile breakdown of all the subjects of songs in the chart.
Love, sex and related matters, 89%. Dancing and club going, 8%. Singer's skill at rapping, 3%. Domestic politics, 1%. War.
Huh, good God, yo! What is it good for?
Absolutely nothing.
Doesn't that up to 102%? Wait a minute, that adds up to 102%.
Yeah, well, maths isn't my strong suit. This is my strong suit. Go on, hit me.
Oh, God, you're right!
I've been on the goons.
There is, of course, one other very special kind of song in rock music. The instrumental.
Instrumentals aren't songs.
They are so. They're songs without words.
He's right. Some of the best-loved hits of the past 50 years have been instrumentals. Think of Fleetwood Mac's Albatross, Peter Gunn by Duane Eddy.
Yeah, the Shadows, for example, have built a 50-year career out of their catchy instrumentals.
It all started when Cliff Richard was still their singer.
Hi, guys. Hank, ready for rehearsal?
Yeah, sure thing, Cliff. Let me just finish this frothy cup of coffee. Ooh, swinging. Now, shall we start with one of the new ones? You've written the words, I assume?
Oh, yeah, the words. No problem.
OK, guys, let's run through Apache. A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3.
Apache, Apache, Apache. Apache, 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 Apache.
Cliff, stop. Hang on, boys, stop. What in the name of jumping Jehoshaphat was that meant to be?
It's the lyrics. Pretty evocative, right?
Evocative of my pants, Cliff. You haven't written any proper lyrics again, have you?
Hey, look, sorry, Hank, guys. I've been a bit preoccupied, actually. I went on holiday to the south coast in this bus, and I had to drive, and I'm bushed, frankly.
I've had enough of your lying excuses, Cliff. That's it, we're going it alone, and you are out of the shads.
Like you're going to get anywhere without my lyrics. Anyone for tennis? Or God?
So you see, there are no real instrumentals, just proper songs without any words.
Well, hang on, what about Telstar by the Tornadoes? That's easily the most famous instrumental in pop.
Ah, instrumental, schminstrumental. Flip it over, and we'll all join in.
Okay. What about Popcorn by Hot Butter?
Popcorn, 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 popcorn.
I feel roundly defeated. Another kind of different song is rap. Everyone thinks they can do rap, but in fact they can't.
Singing in the classes, music for your masses. Give no head, no backstage passes.
Rock DJ by Robbie Williams there. Bloody awful.
Rap, though, can cross over with songs because some smart rappers know that crossover music, you see, sells more copies. So the badass naughty man, Eminem, he teamed up with one-note-faced MOR singer Dido to create the million-selling Stan, which you've got to admit is better than the other way around, i.e. Dido goes rap.
I went to the optician and got my new lenses. They're gas permeable and I think they suit me. But I'm not sure. 3 cigarettes, half a chocolate bar. I think I've put on weight. Did you see Friends last night? It was quite sad, actually. Phoebe got shot.
But what do we know about songs? Well, we were music journalists after all. It was our job for many years at the NME to sift the grist and sort out the wheat from the chaff. It was our bread and butter.
Oh, so that powder they kept sending us was grist, was it? No wonder I developed a gluten intolerance.
Now, you may think that reviewing singles is a piece of cake, but it isn't. This is a piece of cake.
Mmm, delicious. Has it got any gluten in it?
Every week, 250 singles are released, and that's not including formats.
Ah yes, formats, how we love them. Formats are a relatively new development. In the olden days, singles were very much in the spirit of their name. That is, they came out singly in ones. People bought them and they were added up, and the single that had sold the most went to number 1 in the charts. Easy like Sunday morning.
Yeah, unless you're a vicar.
What?
Well, if you're a vicar, Sunday morning isn't easy at all, is it? You have to fill up the font, lay out the hymn books, put on that dress and light the candles.
Easy like most people's Sunday mornings. Then, one sunny afternoon in 1987, some bright spark at a record company came up with the idea of formats. And suddenly, every single appeared in 7 or 8 different versions.
Standard 7-inch radio edit.
Puke yellow-coloured vinyl limited edition.
Unconvincing 12-inch dance remix.
CD 2, featuring unreleased, i.e. unreleasable, song about a monkey that cried.
CD 3, featuring live version of the song about the monkey that cried, recorded underwater in Trondheim.
Special digipack version, including fold-out poster explaining what exactly a digipack is.
It's one of those milk cartons that goes everywhere when you open it, isn't it?
That's a Tetra Pak.
Oh, yeah.
And finally, CD 5, the special Tetra Pak version. It goes everywhere when you open it. Everywhere, that is, except the charts, because they've now banned formats.
But anyway, that's singles. These days, the serious music critic is more likely to be seen with a furrowed brow in the new David Gray album. Albums are the stuff of serious music criticism. Nick Kent won't get out of bed for anything shorter than 72 minutes of Radiohead and a hidden track.
The hidden track. Stuart's referring to that bonus song which is concealed at the end of any CD, generally 14 minutes from the end of the actual last track.
Yeah, the great advantage of this is that when bands take in their skimpy, short-weight new album to The Man, he says, "Good work, boys. At last, an album that's more than half an hour long." Not realising there's 14 minutes of silence between the last song, the song about the monkey that cried, and the backwards instrumental jam called Backwards Instrumental Jam No. 7.
Can you imagine any other business thinking this is a really cool marketing ploy?
No.
It's a sketch.
Oh, you must be the man from the Dino Plum. I'm so glad you came so quickly. The downstairs loo just isn't filling up properly.
Sounds like a cistern blockage or an inadequately weighted bullcock. You put the kettle on, I'll get to work.
8 sugars?
How did you guess?
All finished? Lovely.
Well, not quite done. You see, what I thought I'd do was hide here behind your washing machine, and then the next time you use the loo, wait 14 minutes in complete silence, then burst in unexpectedly holding a spanner, shouting, "I've just got to tighten the outflow." We call it hidden plumbing.
It sounds frightening and pointless, but if it's good enough for Nirvana and Tom York, it's good enough for me. See you later.
Some time ago, Stuart mentioned album reviews. Well, how do you do one?
Well, you know that bit at the end of Misery by Stephen King where the author finishes his novel and celebrates by getting drunk and having a cigarette? Well, reviewing albums is exactly the same, but in reverse.
And when any of us now reviews an album, we offer up a silent prayer that we don't make the same mistake as Richard Williams made. Richard Williams is now one of the world's leading sports writers, but back in the 70s, he was a long-haired rock scribe at Melody Maker, and he developed a kind of friendship with John Lennon. And so John Lennon sent him one of the first copies of John and Yoko's infamous and terrible Two Virgins album. Great scoop here, one of the earliest copies that had come out, and his review duly appeared. And this, word for word, is what he wrote.
Sides 2 and 4 consist entirely of a single tone, maintained throughout, presumably produced electronically. This might sound arid, to say the least, but in fact, constant listening reveals a curious point. The pitch of the tone alters frequently, but only by microtones, or at most a semitone. This oscillation produces an almost subliminal, uneven beat, which maintains interest. On a more basic level, you can have a ball by improvising your own raga, plain song, or even Gaelic mouth music against the drone.
Do you see what Richard Williams has done? He's reviewed the test tone signal that the engineers had put on the early vinyl pressings of the record to make sure the equipment was working properly.
Don't laugh, it could happen to any of us. Well, me.
At least Richard Williams, though, did write what he thought. Most album reviewers never put down what they think. There's a crucial difference between what you think and what you write. Let's say it's your first album review, and let's say it's Sting.
Fields of Gold, A&M Records. Does the world really need another album by Sting? This redundant old gas pocket has once again dropped the big one on an unsuspecting and soon-to-be peg-nosed public. Fields of Gold? Fields of arse, more like. An Englishman in New York? An Englishman with his finger up his arse, more like. 1 out of 10.
And this is what you'd put if you actually put what you thought.
Wow, a free record, and they've sent it to me, and look, it's by Sting, and he was in the police and everything.
Sting. Stinko, more like.
Leave it. Walk away. He's not worth it.
Dave gave that Sting album 1 out of 10, and the mark out of 10 at the end of the album reviews, the ones we used to do in the NME, it acts as a shorthand for those music press readers with such busy lives that they haven't got time to read a 250-word review, but that marking system is never explained. This is what it means.
0 out of 10.
I am new to the paper and trying to make a name for myself.
1 out of 10.
It's Phil Collins.
2 out of 10.
Although anyone who wasn't a music journalist will tell you this is perfectly professionally made, tuneful, accessible, and destined to be one of the year's most popular releases, I'm going to give it 2 so that in a year my words will come back to haunt me and I'll look like a git.
3 out of 10.
I listened to 3 songs.
4 out of 10.
I listened to 4 songs.
5 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
I am being given Trouser Happiness by the singer. As I write this.
11 out of 10.
Look at me, look at me.
Thank you, Cleveland. Lloyd Cole knew our father. Good night.
Lloyd Cole Knew My Father was written and performed by Andrew Collins, Stuart Maconie and David Quantick, with special guests Amelia Bulmore and Roddy. The producer was Lucy Armitage.
88 to 91.
Radio 2.
Roddy